The Brave Boy of Swat Part 2. In the lush green valley of Swat, nestled between the tall mountains and rushing rivers, lived a 12-year-old boy named Osan. He was known in his village for his boundless energy, love for nature, and an unusual courage for his age. No one could have imagined that this young boy would one day become the hero of his community. It was the monsoon season when dark clouds gathered over the valley. Days of heavy rain had swollen the river into a raging monster. The water thundered down from the mountains, sweeping away trees, bridges, and houses in its path. The villagers were terrified. Parents rushed to bring their children home, while elders gathered to pray for safety. On the morning of the flood, Osan heard cries echoing from across the river. He ran toward the sound and saw a heartbreaking sight. A group of children from the neighboring hamlet was trapped on a small piece of land surrounded by rising water. The river was swallowing everything around them, and the frightened children clung to each other, sobbing. The adults on the riverbank were helpless. The current was too strong, and no one dared to step into the violent waters. Osan's heart pounded. He looked at the terrified faces of the children, and then at the frightened villagers. Something stirred deep inside him. He could not just stand and watch. Without hesitation, Osan grabbed a long rope that was tied to a tree. He fastened it around his waist and shouted to the men nearby to hold the other end tightly. "Don't let go!" he yelled. Before anyone could stop him, he plunged into the icy torrent. The river pulled him with terrifying force, but Osan fought with all his strength, pushing against the waves, kicking toward the stranded children. The villagers shouted prayers, their eyes fixed on the boy battling the river. After what felt like an eternity, Osan reached the children. "Don't be afraid," he said firmly, trying to sound braver than he felt. He tied the rope around the youngest child first and signaled to the men on the bank. Slowly, carefully, they pulled the child across to safety. Again and again, Osan secured the rope around each child, sending them back one by one through the roaring flood. His body ached, his lungs burned, and the cold water numbed his arms. But he refused to give up. Finally, only one little girl remained. She was the smallest and clung tightly to Osan, crying. With all his might, he carried her against his chest as the rope pulled them back towards safety. When they reached the bank, the villagers rushed forward, lifting both Osan and the girl from the water. The children were safe. Their families wept with gratitude, hugging Osan and calling him their savior. Though exhausted and shivering, Osan smiled faintly, his heart filled with relief. From that day on, the people of Swat remembered the courage of the brave boy who risked his life to save others. In the face of the raging flood, Osan had proven that true heroism is born not from strength or age, but from the willingness to put others before oneself.